It is now my pleasure to introduce an outstanding alumna who will host this program. Rebecca Burke has been an executive leader in the field of nursing for over 40 years. She currently serves as the chair of the College of Nursing Advisory Council. Thank you, Rebecca. Take it away.
Thank you, Amy, and good afternoon, everyone. As Amy said, my name is Rebecca Burke, and I'm a College of Nursing alum. I graduated in 1976 with my bachelor's degree, a long time ago. And I am delighted and honored to be here tonight to be your host. As Amy mentioned, I'm also currently the chair of the College of Nursing Dean's Advisory Council. The Advisory Council consists of approximately 12 members, alumni and community leaders who serve a 3-year term to support the dean and serve as ambassadors for the College of Nursing in the community. The program tonight is a result of some of the brainstorming we've done in this council to identify ways in which we can connect and engage our alumni from all over the country. So I am thrilled to see that there were 72 people who signed up for this program tonight. So we are engaging our alumni, which is wonderful. So welcome to our program. Tonight, we are thrilled and honored to honor the professional achievement and educational excellence of some of the College of Nursing retirees. Tonight, you will hear first from Dean Barbara Wolfe, who will give you an update on the College of Nursing and recent achievements of the College of Nursing, and there are many. And then you will hear from our esteemed faculty who are retiring this year. Donna Schwartz-Barcott, Ginette Ferszt, Deb Erickson, and Kathy Paquette. And they will briefly talk about the highlights of their careers and share some of their memories. And I wouldn't be surprised if some of you are part of those memories. Then after that portion of the program, we will open this up to questions. Questions can be typed into the chat function on your Zoom. When you put in the questions, please make sure you put in your name, the day you graduated, and where you currently live. And then Amy and I will facilitate the Q&A portion of this program. And then lastly, you'll hear from Tim Babcock. Tim is the Director of Development for the Academic Health Collaborative, and he will inform you about a special time-limited challenge-matched gift for the College of Nursing. So with all of that information covered, I'm now going to turn the program over to Dean Wolfe. Dean Wolfe has been with the College of Nursing since 2016, and she has been dedicated to preparing nurses to excel as outstanding and compassionate clinicians, scholars, and leaders. The College of Nursing at URI graduates nurses who enhance the health and healthcare of individuals, families, communities, and populations both locally and globally, and we are indeed proud of that. So, welcome, Dean Wolfe.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Oh, it is so exciting to see so many faces, familiar faces, and even the ones that might not be so familiar. We are just so glad that you could join us. So, good evening and welcome to this very, very special event. I'd like to take an opportunity to first and foremost thank our alumni and the friends of the college, certainly for all of their continued support, whether it be volunteering their time or making a financial contribution. Your support is just wonderful to have and helps us do the job that we do in terms of making sure that our students have the most exceptional education that they can while they're here at URI. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I am pleased to share with you some of the many different events that have happened over this past year, despite COVID, a lot of good things. And indeed, URI College of Nursing is thriving. We continue to have robust applications, both at the undergraduate level as well as the graduate level. And these are individuals who are very, very highly qualified applicants. So we're very, very excited. This year, we also had a fabulous achievement that we're very, very proud of, a benchmark that we were able to meet, and that is that we were ranked #1 by the Blue Ridge Institute for Medical Research for NIH funding to schools of nursing in New England, which is just a true testament to the caliber of our faculty scholarship. Overall, in terms of the country, we were number 37, which is equally a very, very proud accomplishment. But to be number 1 in New England, we were just thrilled. We also, this past year, have awarded our second cohort of what we call the Scalco Scholars. And these are exceptional students who are in our PhD program who are funded over 3 years to pursue exemplary training to advance nursing research and scholarship. And this award for these students was made through a generous gift by a URI College of Nursing alumna, Dr. Cynthia Scalco, and her husband, Thomas Scalco. So we are really, really thrilled to be able to do that. We also celebrate, as you know, our 75th anniversary for the College of Nursing. We had a stellar planning committee who is being chaired by Dr. Paula Vio, who many of you know. And I would be remiss if I didn't tell you to hold the date, Thursday evening, September 30th, for a signatory celebratory event. Say that a couple times fast. And that'll be held at the Wyndham in Newport, the Wyndham Newport Hotel. And that will coincide with the URI Alumni and Family Weekend. And it'll be a great homecoming for nursing alums. So we hope to see you there. And then the other obvious thing that we have been addressing this year is we want to honor the professional achievements and the educational accomplishments of our distinguished retirees. And that is our panel here today to join us. And that includes Drs. Donna Schwartz-Barcott, Ginette Ferszt, Deb Erickson-Owens, and Kathy Paquette. So to use a nautical reference appropriate for the Ocean State Flagship University, these individuals have been anchors to the college. Their contributions are too many to enumerate, but range from impactful scholarship in shaping the theoretical understandings as well as the clinical practice to novel innovations in clinical education. Their contributions have earned them an array of distinctions, equally too numerous to list. You'd be here all evening. But what I will do is turn it over to have Dr. Schwartz-Barcott start us off with sharing some of her career highlights and favorite memories at URI. Dr. Schwartz-Barcott.
Thank you, Barbara, and welcome everyone. It's great seeing you. I think all of us are looking forward to the 75th anniversary at the end of September, hoping we'll see you in person and have a chance to really talk. But my assignment for tonight was to think about the years at URI particularly. And of course, there are many memories, too many to talk about, but I picked a couple to just pull out as important for me. I'm sure there are many more that I would think about as I retire and have time to reflect back. But I first arrived at URI in 1975, and I remember so well how welcoming and empowering Dean Tate was at that time. And I felt it, I was particularly pleased because I had what you would call a non-traditional educational background in nursing. I had a master's in public health, and it wasn't even in nursing, it was in community development. And I had a master's in anthropology and a potential PhD in anthropology. So my role initially was as coordinator of public health nursing faculty. We were trying at the time to move away from a singular focus on the Visiting Nurse Association to broaden the knowledge base and the experiences for public health nurses and public health nursing. We, as a group, there were 5 of us. We divided up the state into 5 different regions, and a faculty member took on each region and became kind of the expert of the healthcare problems for that region. We then started projects that allowed students to move out from the Visiting Nurse Association. And those projects became terribly informing and valuable to us as a faculty, and I think to the students too. One that I remember really well was one where It took about 3 to 5 years, but there was a definite change in the community over time by the students. The first student did an assessment of an apartment for older adults in Warren, Rhode Island, and began to realize that there were several needs that the older adults had, but no real access to a clinic. And they were particularly interested in blood pressure screening. So that became the first project. The second project became the beginning of a blood pressure screening clinic once a month. Then it turned into the following student picked it up and began negotiating with the management of the apartment to see if we couldn't start something on a more permanent basis. And then the following year, the following student worked with the visiting nurse, director of visiting nurses, and moved the project into a permanent once-a-month clinic that was then supported by the Visiting Nurse Association. So there were endless projects like that. But what I came away from that with was that students and faculty together could really change healthcare, even while a student was trying to become a nurse. So I left that experience and relatively soon started teaching in the master's program. That's where I linked up with Susie Kim, and we were teaching a course for theory and its application in practice. It had both a theoretical component, an in-class component, and a practicum. That's where I began to focus in, both Susie Kim and I began to focus in on singular concepts that people would explore in practice. Things like pain, fatigue, empowerment was one of them. And as we did that, we started to develop a model which we called the hybrid model of concept development. And then for years we used that. And it became a very powerful base for us. In using that, I came away once again with some other thoughts about teaching and knowledge development. And they centered around sort of 3 points. One, I was really beginning to be convinced that students had insights from practice and that those insights were worth developing. I also began to see how powerful it was for students to be dialoguing with other students across settings and then with faculty around a particular concept. And then I also found that by discussing as a teacher, discussing with other faculty how they would see this concept moving across the specialty areas, allowed all of us to begin to really develop and refine specific concepts that we felt really were applicable in practice. And more than anything, I came to appreciate the dialogue between students and faculty, wherever and whenever that would occur. And we have kind of a running joke that sometimes happened in the ladies' room or in the hallway or in the elevator. So the ideas germinated through that kind of interaction. That's became the basis, using the hybrid model became the basis of one of the doctoral programs in inductive theory development. And then I worked in the doctoral program for many years, and I see many of you on the screen now. The thing with the doctoral program that was really most rewarding and fulfilling in part was, one, the student commitment and enthusiasm that they brought, and then these wonderful experiences from practice that we could move off of. And we became oriented towards taking the insights of the students and providing them with what we call the philosophical, theoretical, and methodological basis that they would need to develop those ideas. We realized that was a novel program. That wasn't something you would see in other programs, but we believed strongly in it and we found it very valuable. We hope that most of you that were part of that found it valuable also. Dale Joseph, Dean Dale Joseph, when she was on board, she commissioned a sculpture of Florence Nightingale to go in what we call the Betty Hart Garden, which at the time had only a stone in honor of Betty Hart and an earlier assistant professor, earlier dean. So at the end of graduation, we had a ritual that went on for many years that we had great fun with. And that was, as each person finished the PhD program, we would all go to the garden and we would take photos, sometimes with the student and the faculty member, sometimes with whole families. I always remember Kathy Hawes brought her whole family and we joked and we had all kinds of fun around celebrating the end of the graduate program. So that's a few memories. I'm gonna pass it on now.
I think I'm next.
Are you next? Okay.
Oh, it's so great to see all of you here, and my thanks to our Dean Barbara Wolfe for really spearheading this and giving us this great opportunity. So I was thinking today, I was driving up from my ophthalmology appointment, and then on my way back, I was thinking more about what I wanted to share with everyone. And there's so many different, there's so many things. It's really endless. So I said, okay, so what's jumping out at me? And the one word that came loud and clear was gratitude. That for my 28 years, in one place with you ladies, excuse me, just gratitude for all the people who've been part of my journey, the students who just bring their enthusiasm and their wonderful challenges, and the kind and helpful staff, certainly our dedicated colleagues who are dedicated not only to students and their teaching and their research, but what I've experienced, and Donna already addressed that, is the dedication to one another, where we worked on developing an environment that I think was real. All of us bloomed there, all of us blossomed there. And there's three people that I particularly want to acknowledge. I call them the Trinity of Scholars. They're three extraordinary women who are remarkable mentors and have been remarkable mentors to me. And I think everybody that's sitting here together, except this one over here, the scholar over here, Donna Schwartz-Barcott. But seriously, who have, they changed my life. These three women changed my life. And they are Susie Kim, and we call her Susie, Donna Schwartz-Barcott, and Jean Miller. And these three powerhouses, I think, served as these amazing role models for so many of us through the doctoral program. And hopefully, we've been able to honor them by being able to mentor students as well. So just a couple of memories, gosh. One memory I have, when I was teaching undergraduate psychiatric nursing, I always had a love for theater. So those of you who know me well know that I always had this passion for theater. So I would always try to act out what a patient might be like so they could get a real kind of taste of that before they went into their clinical area. So one day, this is in room 205 in Whitehall, I came in, the topic of the day was bipolar disorder. So I came in with a wig and kind of extravagant clothing and started speaking like that kind of patient would be speaking, etc. And two of the students looked at each other and they said, "Oh my God, we've got to go get the dean. Dr. G just flipped out." And I realized I hadn't prepared them. I got to prepare them from now on. Otherwise, you know what will happen in that classroom. So that was one great, of course, another great memory for me was when I defended my dissertation. Another one was going to Iceland and Romania. We were so fortunate to have just incredible opportunities at URI, doing international teaching and meeting colleagues, and doing some of our research abroad. And I think Kathy's going to talk about Iceland a little bit, but I remember sitting in the back. We only had this little itsy bitsy car, and there were 6 of us. So I remember sitting in the back, hoping that we wouldn't be pulled over by the police because there were more people in the car than it should be. I remember one evening after graduation going to see Florence with my nurse's cap from when I graduated from nursing, and I'm not going to tell you the year, but St. Francis Hospital School of Nursing. And a lot of the undergraduates that I had that year just were dying to put on this cap, you know, so they pulled their hair up and they had their cap there. Just, you know, the memories, a lot of hard work. I think definitely we worked really hard, but we also played really hard. And I think the joy just being in an environment that was so fulfilling, and also one where we really supported one another in whatever we were doing. So I'll stop there and hand it off to you, Deb.
Nice. Well, you want to?
No, I think you're next on it.
Oh, I'm next. Where I'm at. It's great to see everybody, and I'm thrilled you're here on a summery day. Great to see you. And how lucky am I to be retiring with these 3? I really think that's pretty special. And I would tell you, URI has been great for me. It really has shaped who I am. I arrived here after a 20+ year career in the military, totally into administration, totally into practice, and came and was hired by URI. I stayed for a while, left for a little bit, and came back. It's been a pretty special ride for me. I was thinking, and you know, when you're asked to reflect on your career, you're flooded with different things. And so I just plucked out a few things. When I was originally hired here, it was to be part of the midwifery faculty team. Man, did I luck out. Holly Kennedy was at the helm, Judy Mercer, and I have to describe it as a real time of renaissance. But what made it even more special is these amazing, highly motivated students that came to our midwifery program. And I see a couple of them, a shout out to Barb Wax. I see one of the community midwives who helped to train our midwifery students. I see Sylvia Ross. An amazing thing, but there was always this amazing time at graduation, these newly minted midwives, and we had this special ceremony called the Blessing of the Hands. We gathered together. The new graduates were in the middle. Surrounded by them were the faculty. In the outer circle were all the community midwives who helped to precept these students. We all lit a candle, a special poem was read, but talk about a powerhouse experience. That will forever be part of me, and I suspect for any of the students who were part of that. It was just a wonderful time. So I left to do my own scholarship. I graduated and became known as the cord clamping lady, you know, a title I still hold. I have had an opportunity to do research while I'm here. But my next iteration of returning as a faculty was I got to lead the Master's in Nursing Education concentration. You know, if you are not doing midwifery, teaching is the next big thing because you teach like you're a midwife. At least I did. That was kind of my philosophy. And I had an opportunity to meet nurses who decided that what their gig was going to be was to teach other nurses. And wow, what a group. Some incredibly funny stories. I can start to giggle just to think about them. But what really impressed me were these educators. They're dynamic and they're out in our communities. They're also spread around the nation. how incredibly lucky we are to have them as URI alum. So a shout out to all of you and educators. So it's been a great ride, and there are many, many students that I'd like to acknowledge, but I think I'll just wrap up my bit by talking about one, because she has taught me to be grateful for what I have, to be in the moment, and to keep a smile on my face. And this particular student, I've known her since she's completed her undergrad, her BS with us here at URI. She went on to go to the master's program in nursing education, and I was lucky enough to be her advisor. She is currently enrolled in our doctoral program. So why does she stand out to me? Because there are so many rock stars who are now URI alum. Well, she stands out to me because she perseveres. She's bright. A descriptor would be true grit. She's a powerful teacher, and she's a total joy to be with. I'm talking about Janice Ray. Janice is a young woman who had a devastating head-on car accident. And she was diagnosed with quadriplegia. That could stop many of us in our tracks. I think what I'm grateful for is, in spite of all these challenges, I lay witness to someone who continues to move forward. So it's my total pleasure, has been my total pleasure, to serve as her advisor, her teacher, and her mentor. And what she has taught me, I will take into retirement, and I'll probably think about her every day. When I'm wondering, what in the world am I going to do now? I'll think of Janice. She'll remind me to put one foot in front of the other. So it's been a great time here. It's a little hard to say goodbye, but it's time to new chapter.
No, we can't say goodbye.
Okay.
We're transitioning.
Okay, we're
not
transitioning.
retiring. We're
Ginette
transitioning.
rules the group. We can't say goodbye. But with that said, I'd like Kathy to talk.
Well, this is a tough act to follow, you know, guys, when you're the last person after being around these awesome people who, by the way, not only am I a retiree, I am also an alumni. And if it wasn't for Donna Schwartz-Barcott, my major professor, Ginette Ferszt, and one of my other professors, Deb Erickson-Owens, I wouldn't have a PhD. So, to just kind of tap into a little bit about what all of them said about the camaraderie and the support and the really genuine belief in students and in colleagues and in nurturing intellectual and scholarly thought and actions. These ladies are, just phenomenal. But when I thought about something to say today about, my time at URI, I thought about knee surgery. Now, has anybody here ever had surgery? Has anybody here ever been in the hospital? Okay. All right. Well, probably about 5 years or so ago, it was time, the old knees from years of clinical, we're in need of repair. And so I went in and had a total knee replacement. And, and that's not fun. Okay. There's just no way to describe that as fun. So I'm done with my recovery, my PACU, time. And they wheel me to my room on orthopedic unit at Miriam Hospital. And I'm laying in the bed there and I'm like, what have I done? Why have I done this? And into the room comes bouncing in this young girl, and she says, Dr. Paquette, I'm so glad you're here. I'm Gina, do you remember me? I was in your senior med-surg class. And she started going, and I was completely like, oh, thank you, God. You sent me an angel. You sent me one of our URI students. And if I could say anything about the time I've spent here, that would summarize it. Our students are just wonderful. And I have had so many amazing and incredible experiences with students in the clinical arena that they are, I mean, you could write a book, Barbara, you are absolutely correct. But not only did I have Gina, but there were about 4 or 5 other URI grads on that unit, and they all took care of me different shifts, and the comfort and the joy of seeing them actually in practice and trusting them and feeling cared for by them. It was like, you know, the sort of, you know, you pay it forward and it comes back to you again. So, you know, that to me is probably the, you know, some of the most poignant experiences that I can take out of this time that I've been at URI. The other one that also has to do with students is, for many years, I ran the dedicated education unit, which was sort of an innovative clinical model where students were paired with staff nurses, and they worked the staff nurses' schedules, which means they worked 12-hour shifts. And it was really a program that, you know, I felt it really excelled at helping students learn how to transition into professional practice in a meaningful way. Well, over the years, you know, I started off with, again, at Miriam Hospital with nurses that were preceptors there. And I have senior students. So my students, after, you know, these experiences in the DEU would graduate, they would hire them because students, you know, were in a great position to be able to transition into the organization. And then as the years went by, students developed their clinical competence and became proficient, and they became my DEU preceptors. Oh. So the student, you know, so again, the circle kind of came to around again. And those were the times that, you know, that gave me the most joy, I think, in seeing their enthusiasm and their commitment and their passion to nursing practice. And that enthusiasm and passion, I think, has been what has just sustained me throughout certainly my whole career, but in the past, I'd say 13, 14 years since I've been at URI, we have the best students, hands down. We have the best faculty, we have the best administration. But I think that it's just been for me, just really a great experience. And as Donna said, you know, a lot more time when you retire to reflect on things and on situations and transition. And I got to tell you, there hasn't been one time that I've reflected on something that hasn't made me smile and brought, you know, and brought me great happiness and great hope for the future of our nursing profession. All right. I'm all done. I think it's back to Rebecca now.
You're Rebecca at the end.
Great. Well, thank you, ladies, so much for your wonderful memories and powerful insights. It's great to hear them. And now we are going to open this forum up for questions now that you've heard from our 4 illustrious faculty members. Amy's going to help me with the questions. To remind you again, if you have a question, please write it in the chat function of your Zoom, your name, year you graduated, and where you live right now, and we'll try to get to everybody. So Amy, you got some of the first questions here?
Sure, don't be shy. We're ready to go. Everybody type your questions in. This is your chance. These fantastic faculty members are retiring. Not that you won't see them around town or out and about. I'm sure you will, but please do take a moment, enter in some questions that you have. I have one.
Let me just comment. I owe a big thank you to my granddaughter, Charlotte, who just gave me a great salute. So thank you. That's the reason to retire, is if I have grandchildren.
Okay, we have one question here from Michelle Palmer. What are your plans for post-retirement? And that is to everybody.
Well,
I started out without a plan. And just, I mean, I know that sounds a little bit crazy, but I thought, you know, I'm just going to see how this goes. And, you know, I'm an avid quilter. And so I have been doing an inordinate amount of quilting. And it is just such a pleasure to not have to be doing it in a mad rush to get something done on a weekend because, you know, you've got 5,000 other things to do. So I think the pleasure of being able to pace my life in a way that's been different than being full-time faculty has been, you know, that's been really, really a great part about it. Just, you know, I've been doing some consulting work. I'm hoping to do a little tutoring work in the fall. So, you know, just keep my hands in it a little bit and just enjoy my life, my hobbies, my family, going out to friends, going out with my friends. I think for me, it's the pace, the change of the pace that I really do enjoy.
And it's well deserved.
Yeah.
You worked incredibly
Well, and
hard
I think
here.
for all of us, you know, I think, I mean, I'm a little bit ahead of these ladies here, but I do think that has been, you know, for me, a really positive part about retiring. So what are my continued plans? I'm going to just continue to have fun.
This
I'm going to have fun.
That sounds like a good plan.
Yeah,
That's a good plan.
I'm going to have fun.
Anybody else like to contribute to that?
I'm sorry?
Anybody else like to contribute
Sure.
about plans?
Well, I made a decision that, because I have a tendency to jump in things and I have so many interests and there's so many things that I want to do. So I promised myself, and I have a little note on my computer that says, no to any major commitments for 1 year. Jean Miller is the one who suggested that to me. So I'm just going to wait and see what kind of comes from the universe. Those of you who know me well know that that's kind of my orientation, to be open to what comes. I never planned to be in academia for 28 years. That was never, oh my God, never on my radar screen. I was always a clinician. But kind of being open to see what evolves. I want to continue my national policy work on restraining promoting more legislation across more states that have to do with pregnant women being restrained during delivery. So that's going to be an ongoing theme. And I recently joined Nancy Lancaster, another one of our alums, in trying to really help support and move forward our Compassionate Care Act in the state, which I think we really desperately need. The women's prison keeps calling me. I was telling my husband last night and he said, okay, we have to talk a little bit more about that because he knows there's like mission creep, you know, it's like, you know, when I was for 16 years at the women's prison, I had some of my colleagues join me, students were there. We have this annual collection of toothbrushes, hand cream, lotion, and we would make for 250 women. We did that for a number of years, and that may start up again at URI, we'll see. So that's kind of, and I'm considering becoming a non-denominational chaplain, but after I looked and saw how many courses I have to take, I don't know if I want to take more courses. So,
Right.
and spending some time probably every week with probably Donna and maybe Deb and maybe Kathy in Whitehall in room 310, continuing to publish, work with some colleagues. Yeah, I'm working now with Susan. Oh gosh, I can never say her entire name. Who's our thanatology endowed chair now? And we just did some teaching last week online to 8 countries. So yeah,
You're Romanian.
you're Romanian. Yeah.
Great.
So Barbara, you'll be seeing us still.
We have lots of questions coming in here. We have a question from Suzanne Campbell. Suzanne Hetzel Campbell, 1996 grad from Blaine, Washington, working at the University of British Columbia, Vancouver. And she asks, what are your thoughts about concept-based curriculum versus the siloed curriculum? She said she's sorry she's being academic, but we're going to open that up to anyone who wants to answer that.
You want to answer that? You're kind of more of the undergrad curriculum based or concept based. I mean,
Versus silo, do they say silo?
Yes.
You take it like that.
Well, you take that one on. Well, I think just, the kind of the connotation of the word siloed is a little bit, is negative. But I understand that, I think, each college has to really look at, what type of curriculum is going to not only help them to meet the needs of their students, to meet their program outcomes, and to meet accreditation standards. I have a very, very dear friend who just took a dean position in a School of Nursing in upstate New York, who is and they have a concept-based curriculum, and she said that she really likes it, and it seems to, after they just implemented it about 2 years ago, I think it really requires a dedication from all faculty to that, and buy-in, because there's that trying to make for consistency throughout levels of education is going to be difficult without that. So, I think that it's great. I think you have to have the infrastructure and the commitment to make it happen.
Great. This question is to Deb Erickson-Owens from Sylvia Ross. Can you comment a little more on similarities of teaching nursing students and midwifery?
Well, first of all, I'm not surprised that Sylvia would ask me that question because she's interested in that. I think the same dedication that you give to mothers and babies, Sylvia, the support, the passion, the independence, and you do that with teaching. You want to support their learning, you want to mentor their learning, you want to be careful, you want to be in the wings and be highly vigilant, but you don't want to take over. So you're always vigilant, you're always on top of it, and you're really supportive. And so I've always seen it that way. So it was a very easy transition to come from being a staff midwife into teaching. But thanks for asking. Yes, I know Sylvia loves this topic. So, yeah.
Well, the next question is a little personal. It's from Ry Barcott. Am I pronouncing that correctly? He's shaking his head. Yep. How has COVID-19 pandemic impacted your perspective on the profession of nursing that you all have contributed so greatly in your careers? And he thanks you all. And that's to everyone.
Thanks, Ron. I was going to say thank you. That's a real positive comment. I don't know about responding specifically to the pandemic. I think one of the things that's happened with the pandemic, and I would guess for many of you, though not all, is the push into using Zoom and so many other platforms has been both a positive and a negative. Positive in terms of providing different ways of communicating with students particularly and with faculty, but also a longing to have the in-person dialogue, because that, and for me, that was always the best part, was meeting someone in the hallway and spontaneously having a connection and an idea to discuss and kind of play with before going further. Maybe you all could talk more about the pandemic and its impact.
I think my background is mostly acute care and critical care. And so the pandemic has really had an incredible impact on my colleagues who are, at the bedside and have been for the past, year plus, and a profound effect on them. But I think that what I'm hearing from my colleagues and I am reading in the literature, and I'm looking at my other dear friend and colleague, Diane Martinson, I'm just smiling here thinking, is that the whole notion of health equity and social determinants of health and cultural humility have they have permeated through this crisis as being, bigger issues that have just made this crisis much more difficult to bear. And so that, when we look at the future of nursing and some of the literature out there looking at the future of nursing, we are being charged as nurses to really start to expand how we integrate those factors into our practice, and not just at the bedside in a hospital, out in the community, in education, and in policy making. So from what I've heard and seen, it's been terrible, no doubt, but I think those bigger issues really have come to the surface.
And I just want to add, as a psychiatric mental health nurse, that certainly there's an incredible concern for how this has impacted our frontliners, nurses,
Right, moral distress.
Moral distress and PTSD, among other things. And we all know that there's been an incredible rise in a lot more depression and anxiety. A lot of my colleagues are psychotherapists, and what they're telling me is very worrisome. And I think as we're sort of hopefully we're moving in a more positive direction, I think we have a lot to learn from those nurses and others on the front line. I hope that I was just reviewing a couple of articles yesterday. I hope we'll do more research to really learn from them. And, some of them have described this experience as being in a war zone every day. And so I think there's a lot of important work that needs to be done.
Great. Our next question is from Donna Zucker to everyone. Donna is a class of 1999 in Wellfleet, Massachusetts. She is Professor Emerita at UMass Amherst, and she just wants to make a comment. I forever remember your advice after the dissertation on the way to a celebration lunch. You said, figure out what chapter you are publishing first. And she says she is still publishing, so she thanks you.
That's right.
Next question or comment is from Bethany Coy. I may not be pronouncing the name correctly. 2017, and the question is to Donna and Ginette. You both have been incredibly integral in the promotion and completion of qualitative research. Will you be able to continue to participate in research and publications?
Yes.
That's my goal. That's why I'm retiring, so I can. I can't wait to keep publishing and setting new networks and new research projects, and continuing with some old ones, Aging in Place with Katharina Hillstrow, who I think is on board, and Alicia Curtin, Diane Martins. And then also I've been doing some work with Marilyn Anselin for a number of years now on reflection and what's called the reflective practitioner, and really looking at how nurses reflect in practice. My orientation still is to understand more about what's going on in practice than moving towards telling nurses what to do. I feel like we still need to know a lot more about what nurses are doing. So that'll be my orientation, but I can't wait.
Yeah, when I look at what Susie Kim has done since she transitioned to this other chapter, you notice I don't like the word retirement, so I try not to use it. Our dean knows this very well about me, right, Barbara? But you know, it's a gift to have this time to be able to devote more energy into some areas that we just didn't have the time to do. So yeah, I think a lot of us will still continue our research on hope, Dr. Paquette, and publishing together. Yeah, so I'm really looking forward to that.
Great.
Congratulations, Donna. I think she's retired too. Am I right, Donna?
Transition.
Donna Zucker.
We have a question from Colin Burns, DMP grad in 2019, working at Westerly Hospital. As a student of all four of you, what are your recommendations to transition to be a future educator?
Oh, good. He's thinking that. Oh, good. He's a natural. He's going to be great, period.
Yes.
A mentor, Colin.
Yes.
Find a mentor. And I agree. I think you are a natural teacher. I heard in the wind what a wonderful TA you were and how supportive. So I think you have it in your core. But the secret here would be to mentor. And there are a variety of different preps you can do. You can do a postmaster's certificate in education, something like that. But you'd want to get some of that. I don't think you had that in the particular program that you went through. But I'd start with a mentor and kind of get some of the nuts and bolts about writing exam questions and etc.
Yeah, I have to echo that, Colin, because I came from practice into an academic position, and I really felt that one of the things that I really struggled with was the educational and the education theory, you know, instructional design, curriculum development, and fortunately for me, I did have a great mentor, and that, you know, was that I was able to bridge to that. But that to me was the challenge in coming straight from, you know, from clinical as a CNS clinical practice.
I didn't come as an educator either. And I would just again say, and you do this naturally, Colin. Colin is really terrific at communicating.
Yeah.
But I would say for me, the value when it came to URI was the faculty were just terrific. I could reach out to any faculty member on any subject matter. So when I taught, most of the subject matters that I dealt with, I could find another person on the faculty that knew it even more intimately than me. And I could reach out to them, and it was, I mean, you can just get such an education and move things so quickly by working with colleagues in the same space.
Yeah, I had the pleasure of having Colin as a TA, and he was indeed phenomenal and is a gifted teacher already. So I definitely, you know, agree with what everybody said already in terms of, I think your ability to interact with students, to connect with them is already there. And now to have some of the more the theory behind the educational process and so forth.
And Deb, you went to that unusual.
I went to the UPenn. I went to
because Colin might need something.
Yeah, and call me, Colin. But you know what I would say is students know immediately whether you're in their camp, whether you really want to be there for them. There's just something, people who really love to teach, it just oozes. They know it. And that's maybe the piece for Sylvia, who asked me about midwifery. It's that same caring support. Students know. And the key is to always be fair. Doesn't mean you're always well liked for that, but always being fair. But I happen to love teaching. I think that was one of my highlights of being at URI. So.
Great. Well, we have time for one more comment. I'm going to read one from Karen Hetzel, 2004. This is specifically for Ginette and Donna. I will be forever grateful for your support completing my degree and setting me on the path to teach our future nurses. And how perfect an ending considering what we just talked about. So thank you all very much. There are many comments here that we haven't gotten to, many questions that we could not ask within our time frame. I'm going to look to Amy to see if she can capture some of those so that you can all see what they are. And yes, she says so. So we're good with that. But thank you very much for all your questions. I'm going to turn this now over to Tim Babcock. He's our, as I said before, the Director of Development for the Academic Health Collaborative. So Tim.
Let us say thank you and goodbye to the folks on board.
So good to hear from people. What a treat. It really was. Thank you.
See you at the 75th.
See you at the 75th.
Okay, Jim, tell them how to get there.
Thank you, Rebecca. Thank you, Rebecca. Congratulations once again to Donna, Ginette, Deb, and Kathy. Your lengthy and distinguished careers are quite an inspiration. I thank you for all the contributions each of you have made to the profession of nursing and to the education of nurse leaders around the globe. Thank you to the alumni and friends on this call who have supported URI's College of Nursing this year and in the past. Philanthropy is critical to provide the college with the necessary resources to ensure all students have access and opportunity. Faculty have the tools to succeed in teaching and in research, and Dean Wolfe can recruit and retain the best of the best like we have here, while being innovative and strategic with her vision. With that said, I'm excited to share that thanks to an anonymous support of a college friend, the college has a unique matching gift opportunity. Every gift of $1,000 or more to any College of Nursing fund made through September 30th, 2021, our celebratory event for the 75th will generate a match up to $100,000 to the Anonymous Donors Challenge Fund. To that end, I invite you, our alumni, faculty, friends, to make a contribution in honor of one of these tremendous faculty to commemorate the 75th anniversary of the college, or even the Nursing Roadie Now Fund. Please feel free to contact me or my URI Foundation colleague, Eric Schoenwald, who's on the call, to discuss engaging opportunities of impact. Thank you again, and I will turn the program back over to Dean Wolfe.
Great, thank you. I do want to thank our attendees, and please feel free to share your congratulatory remarks in the chat room with this great group of retirees here. We are just really, really proud to be able to claim them as part of URI's College of Nursing community. In true academic form, I'm going to draw on the words of a great philosopher, Socrates, who once said, "I cannot teach anybody anything. I can only make them think." Panelists, thank you for making countless individuals think and for shaping the nurses of today as well as those of the future. We wish you well. Turn it back over to you, Rebecca.
Thank you.
Thank you, Barbara. Thank you, Barbara.
And I want to thank you personally all for attending. This was absolutely wonderful. I want to congratulate the retirees, the honorees here. We learned so much today. And thank Dean Wolfe for her work in the wonderful College of Nursing. So great to see you all. Some of you I know, some of you I don't. For those of you I know, hello to all of you. Thank you again for attending, and we'll wish you a good evening. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you. Great to see everybody.
Nick, my brother's